morning and welcome back to my channel. I just woke up and I'm getting ready to make my bed now. It is Saturday morning also, so I'm just doing laundry. I have 3 loads. Yeah, 3 loads to finish up. We are getting ready to make breakfast now. It's a typical breakfast for me, honestly. Obnoxious noise is actually my air conditioner. It's extremely loud and I do apologize. There's nothing I can do about it except turn it off. But I do live in Arizona where it's hot. Well, it's starting to get hot at least, so the air conditioner is gonna stay on. I apologize. Decide whether I want to watch a podcast or want to listen to a podcast or watch a movie. I haven't been watching TV this week that much. I turned it on once, which honestly, there's some days when I'm working and I turn it on because I want like a TV show in the background. And then there's some weeks where I'm just like, ugh, whatever. I'll just focus on work, you know? It is what it is. My 2 podcasts of the week to share with you are, let me find them. They were super good, super empowering as always. The first one was on the 10 lessons it took me 50 years to learn podcast. And this one is called Stress is Not a Badge of Honor. And it features Robert Reed. But of course, the host of that one was Diana White. It was so good. You should definitely go and listen to it if you're interested in, I don't know, just, you know, listening to the podcast. And Robert Brene is the co-founder and principal with Influence and entrepreneur, professional speaker, and coach. He speaks with us about why asking for help is a strategy, why you should invest in your own happiness, and how stress is not a badge of honor. Hosted by the infamous Diana White. It was so good. Definitely go and listen if you're looking for a podcast to listen to. I really enjoy empowering podcasts. Second podcast that I do want to share is by Brene Brown. If you don't know, I'm a big Brene Brown fan. She is literally like the epitome of vulnerability. She studies shame and basically why people shouldn't feel shame about, say, trauma, for example. And she just talks a lot about vulnerability, which I appreciate, especially in my life. Where is this podcast? Okay, so this one, she has 2 podcasts. The first one is Unlocking Us with Brene Brown, and the second one is a leadership geared podcast. I listen to both of them, but this particular podcast is on the Unlocking Us one, and it's Brene with Emmanuel Acho. He was a former NFL player, and he's a turned like motivational speaker. Brene with Emmanuel Acho on being illogical, and that's what the podcast is called. Let me read the description. I'm talking again with my friend Emmanuel Acho about his new book, Illogical, Saying Yes to a Life Without Limits. Emmanuel shows up with pure energy and thought-provoking opinions, which may seem illogical, but actually makes so much sense. He also shares some real wisdom around how to handle naysayers and critics while also staying open. Being receptive and taking care of ourselves in the process. It's a really meaningful conversation. We have a ton of fun and I'm really glad you're here for it. So Emmanuel Acho, right after I guess his NFL career, he went into like motivational speaking, it seemed, and he wrote a book called A Conversation with a Black Man. I wrote down 2 quotes that came up when I was just listening to the podcast. Okay, The first one, instead of a goal, there are limitless objectives, because a goal is illogical. That's like the center of what the book is about. So the way he explains it definitely makes sense. So setting a goal, it's like you set a goal and you do everything to accomplish that goal. But then oftentimes once you achieve that goal, people stop there and then they're like, wow, now what? I have this goal. I accomplished it. Now what? So instead of saying, oh, I'm here to achieve this goal, say, oh, I'm here because there are limitless objectives for me to achieve. That way, instead of putting yourself in a box, you're setting yourself open to many opportunities that may come along the way of achieving that goal, or after achieving that goal, you have other things to outbranch to, you know, but yeah, limitless objectives. It just makes sense, you know? You're not just like a straight path person. I mean, some people may be, but you're not supposed to walk in a straight path to one goal only in life. There's not just one goal, you know? And depending on that goal, of course, there's going to be many opportunities that come upon approaching it, right? But being open to navigating it, you may go from plan A to plan D really quick. Being open to many opportunities, being open to limitless objectives. But it was really good. You should definitely give it a listen. I actually spoke to my boyfriend about this. My boyfriend's big into football and he knew who Emmanuel was, and so I was just explaining to him and sharing these quotes with him, and he was like, I was like, oh, I put the Amazon book in my cart to buy because that was the first podcast that I've listened to in so long where it's like, I want to buy that book, Illogical. And so he was like, no, I'll just buy it for you. And I was like, oh, okay, thanks. And then I was like, is it because he's a football player? I'm sure that has a large play in it. He was like, no, because you like to read. I like when you read. I was like, why? Because you don't read? He was like, yeah. But there was a second quote also. Stop letting such insignificant people have significance over your life. This one is a good one. We often think about what other people think about us, what other people think about the moves that we make in our lives, that, you know, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't. And then we allow that to have influence over us, you know? And I was just talking about this on my Instagram the other week. But one thing I appreciate about my therapist and how she approaches my trauma with me is she approaches it in a very logical manner. I'm a very logical person. And so when I'm talking about my trauma and how it has influence in my life currently, because of course, trauma is going to have influence over you. Some way, somehow, you go to therapy to try to have it influence you in a better way or to deal with it in a better way. But basically, the questions that my therapist asked me are along the lines of, okay, is that a logical reason to think? So one of the questions that she will ask me is, like, if I say something, this is real life. If I say, wow, I thought I was really ugly for a long time and I still think that every now and then, but, you know, I realize I'm as bad as it sounds, well, not really, that I'm actually a really good-looking person in my eyes, at least. And she's like, let's look at where the source of that came from, and it came from my trauma. And so one of her questions is the source of that thought credible? Is the source of that thought credible? It's definitely not a logical source of thinking whatsoever. Stop letting insignificant people have such a significance over your life. Again, like, that's such an important quote that we often need to sit down with and think, like, you know, this person may be a family member. Yeah, so we give significance over their word and what they think because they're family, but that's not right whatsoever. And I definitely live by that. No matter who I come in contact with, I treat people with kindness, treat people with love. I do my best to be me. Like, I'm an observer naturally. I always say I'm an extrovert, but honestly, I observe first before I allow my personality to come out, honestly. Like, I warm up. I think it's a really appropriate thing for me to do, at least. Like, I'm a skeptical person, and that skepticism comes from trauma, basically. But yeah, the quote was indeed really good. The podcast was really good also, so definitely give it a listen. And the book Illogical, I think it's gonna be here today, Reed said. So I'm really excited to tell you guys what that's all about, and I will definitely keep you guys updated. But yeah. So impressed. I know you guys see that frost separation at the top. So good.
Peso sitting in my bank. And all night we've been hitting the town, putting drinks up for everyone who put us down.
I'm just getting ready to go to Barnes & Noble to get some work done. But I would go to a coffee shop, but the only coffee shops around me is at least the Starbucks. Those are literally everywhere, but yeah, I don't want to go to Starbucks. And yeah, Barnes & Noble is the place to be, honestly. I'm gonna pack a couple things to take with me, like snacks and maybe a PB&J sandwich, something to eat. Did switch my sunscreen. I was using the Black Girl sunscreen, switched over to Paula's Choice. It was about time, for the bottle is practically empty. My original sunscreen that I was using, the Black Girl sunscreen, and I loved it. I was completely in love with it. It doesn't leave a white cast whatsoever. I think it's an amazing option if you are looking for sunscreen, but it is really oily, and as someone who already struggles with their dramatically oily skin, I looked for something with less oil, and that was the Paula's Choice for me. I absolutely love it. I've been using it for a week now. It is pretty pricey, $34 for a smaller size than the Black Girl sunscreen. That one I just purchased from Target, I believe, for around $14 or $15 versus $34 for the Paula's Choice. But it is a really good sunscreen. It leaves no white cast, at least on me. And yeah, it's not oily whatsoever. Like, I've had the Paula's Choice on my face for like, I'm gonna say 30 minutes now, and my face isn't oily. But if I was to use my original sunscreen, the Black Girl sunscreen, my face would already be dramatically oily by now, and I just want my natural oil production, seeing as I do have oily skin, to come out, and for products that I put on my skin to not play into the oiliness of my face. Also, I just want the natural oil that I have. That's all I want to deal with. And yeah, Paula's Choice, definitely a great option if you're looking for sunscreen. I'm going to use this bag for the first time. It's like a nice laptop work bag, and yeah, it has lots of space, so it's definitely going to be able to fit my laptop and stuff. But something that attracted me to this bag was that it has a USB slot. But okay, it has a USB slot, and I was like, wow, that's cool. You can literally charge the bag, and then on the go, say if your phone was dying, you can charge your phone or even your laptop. That's cool. And so I got the bag, and I was super excited, read all the reviews, and they were great. It's a cute bag, but the USB slot on this thing was like sewn over, so I tried to like pull it out, and it completely broke. Like, it was like a malfunction altogether, and I was reading through the reviews and I didn't see nothing like it. So I was like, I can return the bag. But honestly, would I use the USB thing if it came working? Most likely not. But I was like, should I return it or keep it? It is a cute bag, and I do need like a highly functional laptop work bag, seeing as I'm going into office pretty soon. Really cute laptop professional like bag to take. Banana.
And all night we've been hitting the town, putting drinks up for everyone who put us down. Pour a little more bourbon out, I turn heads when I'm swerving now. 40 hours on my John Deere, 40 hours on my John Deere. They I can hit the two-step better than the rest. Call me Lil Hank, bandana around my neck. 4 Giottos on my John Deere. They can tell I ain't from round here. Riding on a tractor, trying to attract her. She's a country girl trying to get her master. She got a man, but he really ain't a factor. I'm the cowboy who's got her heart beating faster. And all night we've been hitting the town.
I am trying so hard to like coconut water because it's so good for you, but honestly, I think after I finish this one, I'm just gonna give up on it. It's so good for you, but some things I just can't do. Go ahead and close the vlog out right here. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to subscribe, like, and comment. And of course, as always, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.